Aging begins in the lower body, not the face. Most people think aging starts when the skin changes. Biologically, it often begins much earlier in the lower body. The legs contain the largest skeletal muscle groups in the human body. The quadriceps, hamstrings, gluteal muscles, and calves account for a major percentage of total muscle mass. These tissues are not just for movement. They are metabolically active endocrine organs. After the age of 30, anabolic hormone signaling begins to decline. Growth hormone secretion decreases. Testosterone gradually falls in men. Estrogen declines in women, especially after menopause. Insulin sensitivity slowly reduces. Lower body muscle fibers, particularly fast-twitch type 2 fibers, are highly dependent on these anabolic signals. They require both hormonal support and mechanical loading to maintain size and strength. When growth hormone declines, muscle protein synthesis slows. When testosterone decreases, muscle fiber repair becomes less efficient. When insulin sensitivity drops, glucose uptake into muscle cells becomes impaired. The legs are especially vulnerable because they require regular resistance and load-bearing activity to stay metabolically active. In modern sedentary lifestyles, daily walking distance has decreased dramatically. Stair climbing has been replaced by elevators. Squatting patterns are rarely used. Reduced mechanical loading combined with declining anabolic hormones creates a perfect environment for accelerated lower body muscle loss. This early decline is known as sarcopenia. It often begins subtly in the legs, years before visible facial aging becomes obvious. The key issue is not appearance. It is metabolic regulation. Leg muscles are primary glucose disposal sites. They help regulate blood sugar levels after meals. When lower body muscle mass decreases, glucose clearance becomes less efficient. This increases insulin demand. Over time, chronic insulin elevation contributes to systemic inflammation and metabolic aging. Your face may still look youthful, but internally, the metabolic aging process may already be underway in your lower body. Your legs act as a circulatory engine beyond metabolism. The lower body plays a critical role in circulation. The muscles of the legs function. With every contraction of the calf and thigh muscles, blood is pushed upward against gravity toward the heart. This mechanism supports venous return and stabilizes blood pressure. When leg muscle mass and strength decline, this pump becomes less efficient. Reduced muscle contraction leads to slower venous return. Blood can pool more easily in the lower extremities. The cardiovascular system must compensate by increasing heart workload and vascular tension. Over time, this contributes to higher resting blood pressure and reduced vascular elasticity. There is also a hormonal dimension to this process. Healthy skeletal muscle supports endothelial function through nitric oxide signaling. Nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax and maintain proper dilation. When muscle mass declines, endothelial signaling efficiency decreases. Vascular stiffness increases. In addition, physical contraction of large leg muscles stimulates anti-inflammatory myokines. These muscle-derived signaling molecules influence systemic inflammation levels and metabolic stability. When lower body activity decreases, myokine production declines. Chronic low-grade inflammation becomes more likely. This accelerates vascular aging. Another important factor is mitochondrial density. Leg muscles contain high concentrations of mitochondria because they are built for sustained activity. With reduced use and hormonal decline, mitochondrial efficiency drops. This leads to decreased cellular energy production and increased oxidative stress. Oxidative stress damages vascular lining, connective tissue, and even organ function over time. So when leg strength decreases, the impact is not isolated to mobility. Circulation weakens. Blood pressure regulation becomes less stable. Endothelial function declines. Oxidative stress increases. These are central mechanisms of cardiovascular aging. The insulin shift that accelerates aging skeletal muscle is the primary site of glucose disposal in the human body. After a meal, insulin is released from the pancreas. Its main task is to move glucose out of the bloodstream and into muscle cells for storage or immediate energy use. The largest portion of this process happens in the lower body. The quadriceps and gluteal muscles alone represent a major percentage of total insulin-sensitive tissue. When these muscles are strong and metabolically active, post-meal glucose is cleared efficiently. Blood sugar rises moderately and returns to baseline quickly. When lower body muscle mass declines, this system changes. There is less tissue available to absorb glucose. Insulin must rise higher and remain elevated longer to achieve the same effect. Over time, cells become less responsive to insulin signaling. This is the beginning of insulin resistance. Chronic insulin elevation has multiple downstream effects. It suppresses fat breakdown. It promotes visceral fat accumulation. It increases inflammatory signaling. It accelerates mitochondrial stress. Elevated insulin also interferes with growth hormone release during sleep. Growth hormone is critical for tissue repair and cellular regeneration. When insulin remains high in the evening, nocturnal growth hormone pulses become blunted. This means reduced muscle repair, slower recovery, and faster biological aging. Lower body muscle loss therefore creates a metabolic feedback loop. Less muscle leads to poorer glucose control. Poor glucose control increases insulin demand. Higher insulin accelerates fat gain and inflammation. Inflammation further impairs muscle regeneration. This cycle can begin years before visible aging appears in the face. Externally, you may look young. Internally, metabolic aging may already be progressed. The anabolic hormone decline that starts in the leg's longevity is strongly influenced by anabolic balance. Anabolic hormones such as testosterone, growth hormone, and insulin-like growth factor, one regulate tissue repair, muscle maintenance, and cellular regeneration. The lower body plays a central role in maintaining this hormonal environment. Large compound movements involving the legs stimulate the greatest anabolic response in the body. Squatting, climbing, sprinting, and load-bearing activity activate extensive muscle fibers. This mechanical stress signals the release of growth hormone and supports healthy testosterone levels. Testosterone production gradually decreases. Insulin-like growth factor signaling becomes less efficient. This creates a systemic shift toward catabolism. Catabolic dominance means the body breaks down tissue faster than it rebuilds it. Muscle repair slows. Bone density begins to decline. Recovery capacity decreases. Connective tissue becomes weaker. There is also an interaction with cortisol. When muscle mass decreases and physical resilience drops, stress tolerance often declines. Cortisol remains elevated more frequently. Chronic cortisol elevation suppresses testosterone further and promotes abdominal fat accumulation. This hormonal environment accelerates biological aging. Importantly, the face does not reflect these internal changes immediately. Skin aging is influenced by collagen breakdown and sun exposure. Muscle aging is influenced by hormonal signaling and metabolic load. These processes do not occur at the same rate. Your facial appearance may remain relatively preserved while your lower body is already experiencing anabolic decline. This is why lower body strength is a stronger predictor of long-term health outcomes than cosmetic markers of aging. Why lower body strength predicts longevity, lower body decline is not just a mobility issue. It is a survival signal. Multiple longitudinal studies show that leg strength, walking speed, and the ability to rise from a seated position are strong predictors of mortality risk. These markers outperform many cosmetic or superficial indicators of aging. The mechanism is systemic. First, muscle mass protects metabolic stability. Strong lower body muscles improve glucose disposal and reduce chronic insulin elevation. Stable insulin levels reduce inflammation, preserve mitochondrial function, and protect vascular integrity. Second, muscle contraction stimulates bone remodeling. Mechanical loading of the femur and pelvis activates osteoblast activity. When leg strength decreases, bone density gradually declines. This increases fracture risk, especially in aging populations. Hip fractures are associated with high mortality within the following years, not because of the bone alone, but because they signal systemic frailty. Third, lower body muscle supports balance and neuromuscular coordination. As type 2 muscle fibers shrink, reaction time slows. Fall risk increases. Recovery from injury becomes more difficult due to reduced anabolic capacity. There is also a cardiovascular dimension. Strong leg muscles enhance venous return, stabilize blood pressure, and support endothelial function through nitric oxide signaling. When these systems weaken, vascular aging accelerates, increasing risk for hypertension and cardiovascular disease. Finally, lower body muscle is closely linked to mitochondrial density. Higher mitochondrial capacity improves cellular energy production and reduces oxidative stress. When mitochondrial efficiency declines, cellular aging speeds up across multiple organs. This is why your legs often age before your face. Facial aging reflects surface-level collagen changes. Lower body aging reflects hormonal shifts, metabolic stress, vascular decline, and mitochondrial dysfunction. One is cosmetic, the other is biological. The key takeaway is simple. If you want to slow biological aging and extend health span, protect your lower body muscle mass, prioritize resistance training, maintain insulin sensitivity, support anabolic hormone balance, preserve mechanical load through regular movement, longevity is not written on your face. It is written in your legs.